Hello and welcome to another DC Corner. This is Ed. Will is under the weather, unfortunately, so Will, hope you're feeling better and able to join us next week. But we're going to go ahead and get started with some recaps of some of our favorites from last week's books. Batman Eternal number 46 is out, and we've gotten yet one more swerve on who the big bad is behind all the goings-on in Gotham. You've seen Hush being blamed, you've seen the Riddler being blamed, more recently Ra's al Ghul. And what we're finding here is in this huge battle against Ra's, even Ra's is not to blame for this one. So who's going to be big enough, bad enough to be able to get in on all of this, to gather all the bad guys together? Who would have this much of huge anger at Batman and enough knowledge about who he really is to pull all this off? I'm sure we'll see before we get into Convergence. But other than the fact that there's been multiple swerves, I've really loved this series, so we'll see where it goes from here. Batman and Robin number 39 with Super Robin. You can tell I'm ready for Super Robin to be done, but I like Damian being back. And if this is a short-term storyline, which it may be, then this will be okay. There's a potential couple of glitches you see in this issue where Robin's powers may be glitching a little bit, nothing real major, but I'm hoping that's a foreshadowing of things to come. He does what you expect a kid to do if you're a kid interested in stopping crime and have the powers of Superman. He gathers all the bad guys up, carries them up into the troposphere, and tells them what's going to happen to them the next time they do anything, until, that is, Dad comes along and stops the show and gets everybody back safely down to Earth. So we'll see where this goes. It at least has some interesting story opportunities as long as it's a short-term storyline. Justice League 39 ends the Amazo Virus with, at the end, a new Amazo. And I sort of like this. We've got Patient Zero somehow making it through. They've cured most of the rest of the guys, but they've left it where some of the people who were infected with the Amazo virus have some leftover meta powers. So it opens up a host of new characters for the DC universe. That's not bad. They did something similar with this, I'm forgetting how many years ago now, quite a few years ago, when they had an alien infestation that sort of left a few folks with their meta genes activated. And it's sort of a throwback to that. We don't know how many people have powers, but it ought to be interesting. Let's see what comes out of it. Finally, in terms of highlight books, I won't get too far into Future's End. It's really moving rapidly toward their deal with Convergence. You certainly have the big battle already against the multiversal Brainiac. But Multiversity Masterman was out, and this one takes what if Kal-El's rocket had landed somewhere where the German army could have grabbed it in the 1930s just as Adolf Hitler was rising to power. What if they'd been able to indoctrinate him into the Nazi way of doing things, and if Germany had won the war? And you're fast forwarding a few years, Uncle Sam and the Freedom Fighters are coming up against him, and you do see, even in the middle of all of this, Superman, or in this case Overman, having some conscience about some of the atrocities being committed in the name of Hitler, and trying to sort of come around to a different way of thinking. So not the strongest chapter of Multiversity, but not the worst at all. And of course, I'm a big Grant Morrison fan, so I'm liking the story all overall. But all of this, again, it's coming to a head. We're getting ready in another month or so to get into Convergence, and that's where Multiversity is taking us, along with a lot of the other books. Let's go ahead and shoot ahead to what's coming up next week. Some of the new books in the Batverse that have really helped to establish for DC that they can use a different style of storytelling, a different style of art, a different way of telling stories, that not everything has to be grimdark, that there can be some room for different ways of doing things. These are coming out again. Arkham Manor, Gotham by Midnight, and it's sort of our favorite here on the DC Corner, Gotham Academy. I'm glad to see the impact that it's having on the DC lineup. I'm glad to see that after Convergence, you're going to see some different ways of telling things. So these books will be coming out this week, and they also continue even after Convergence. So that'll be cool. Batman 38 comes out. It's the penultimate chapter of Endgame. Supposedly we're going to get a real firm picture of who Joker really is. I've been sort of hinting around, making him sound like a Vandal Savage knockoff, that he's always been around forever and ever. And if we talk to our buddies on the Comics Week in Review, some of them like that. I'm sort of hoping that's not where we go, but we'll see. We'll see. Batman Eternal 47, World's End 21, Future's End 43 come out, and The Flash number 39. Now, for those of you who haven't been following, it's a fractured storyline or a fractured timeline where a future Flash from a darker timeline where things have gone really wrong, where Wally West dies far too young, and Barry is impacted so that he thinks he's got to go get rid of people before they can commit their crimes. So he's sort of as they would describe him, the all-new, all-murderous Flash. He's come back in time. He was not able to really make the changes he wanted to make, but as he was being defeated, our Barry was thrown into the Speed Force without his powers. The other Barry was de-aged and has taken over in Central City, and it looks like folks are finally figuring him out. So we're getting ready to come to a head on this storyline. I'm going to be glad when we get there, but it's an interesting thing for the Flash. Again, Flash 39 comes out on Wednesday along with the other books. Be watching for those. Now, I know this is an Oscar night, so I've got to get back with the guys on Comics Week in Review whether we're going to put one up tonight or whether we're going to go Monday night for our show. But don't worry, we'll have something for you soon on the Comics Week in Review. And again, next week, hopefully with Will, I'll be back for you on this nice little show here, the DC Corner. Thanks, guys, for watching, and we'll catch you again next time.